Sometimes I think about DEI and whether or not its implementation was wrong or there was no other avenue that could have been taken to prevent how demonized it has been. Because DEI started with the women's revolution, women empowerment. I think everyone agrees that women have gotten a raw deal in history, and they were long overdue to be empowered because history has always said that women were the weaker sex and they were to be placed in the kitchen and just for child rearing, which was grossly unfair and stifled so much creativity because a lot of intellectual giants and intellectual powerhouses who could have given the world so much were placed in inferior places because they wore a skirt. So as soon as women were allowed to be expressed in their fullest potential, we got people like Mae Jemison, who was an astronaut, a doctor, a pioneer. We got Grace Hopper, who was a brilliant software engineer who pioneered the internet. And yeah, one of the we probably would not. I don't know if we would have the internet. It was if it was not for the ideas of Dr. Grace Hopper and so many other intellectual giants who were women. The Nobel Prize winner, Marie Curie, is too many to mention. But the point is that the feminist movement, which started to empower women, was a was upstream from the DEI movement, which saw the success of the feminist movement, and then said, okay, what else are we not recognizing? What else are we stifling? What kind of talent is being suppressed because of the dominance of white males and what kind of program and how should we implement this program to unlock the opportunities that can be given, that can be flourished by marginalized groups. Now, I've experienced DEI as a black person, and it has given me opportunities that I would probably have never had the program not been available. Because I know for a fact when I have arrived at a company, I was the only black person there, and I was obviously a DEI hire. Now, I won't say the company, but I definitely excelled at that company, and they were happy to have me until I left it. And I know for a fact that I was hired solely because they wanted a black face in that company. But they actually were happy to discover that I was pretty competent and did my job well. And I actually strive to do the job well because of the fact that I was black, because I did not want them to have a sour taste and regret hiring me. Now, if you scale that up to the millions, there are so many people like me, but unfortunately, there are also people who were denied opportunities because of the opposite reason, because they were white. So how I wonder about the irony of uplifting people to correct historic injustices and then ironically create disenfranchised people in the form of white men, young young white men in particular, because just because they were white and they were born white, they are denied a lot of opportunities, unfortunately. And I'm not a pro-white person like those Andrew Tates and the Manosphere. I'm just looking at it simply in in the framing of DEI, diversity, inclusion. Uh, what is it? Diversity and economic inclusion, or something like that. I'm just looking at it in the form of trying to help lift up others, and then you end up pushing others down. Because, yes, white men have been historically privileged, but what about the white men who have been historically privileged are in general older white men, the people who benefited from the system maybe more than 30 years ago to hundreds of years ago. The white men born right now are actually disadvantaged if you think about it, because this the work the environment that they were born to is against them. Not all of them, but they have to fight against the DEI programs, because the DEI programs want to hire women, they want to hire minorities, they want to hire disabled people, historically disadvantaged people. So it puts them kind of at a disadvantage. And do they have a right to have their own kind of DEI implemented? Is this DEI program actually creating, what do you call this? There's a word for it. It's like a loop. I'll remember the word. The word. It's like, I think it's called a vicious circle. So this kind of trying to create a solution, and then it causes a problem, and then that problem needs a solution, which causes the same problem. So DEI is creating a vicious circle, whereby the white men need their own DEI, which, if they get power, will create the same problem that necessitated DEI, and on and on and on. So what is he? We now have a loop, and I'm wondering, how do you create a loop counter? So let's ask ChatGPT. I'm not. Sometimes I feel like I'm not smart enough to handle this kind of conversations.
Hey there. How can I help you today? Let me know what's on your mind.
In this vicious cycle whereby DEI is creating disenfranchised white men who need their DEI, which they will get when they get power again, creating this vicious circle, we have something like a loop which needs a loop counter. What would you suggest?
That's definitely a complex and nuanced topic. If you're thinking about a metaphorical loop, a loop counter could be something like a targeted intervention or a policy that helps break the cycle. For instance, promoting inclusive dialogue, providing equitable opportunities, and fostering collaboration across different groups can help reduce feelings of disenfranchisement over time. It's all about breaking that cycle with intentional thoughtful actions. Let me know if you want to dive deeper into any specific aspect.
Yeah, I want to know about DEI programs. They create this kind of situation whereby the white man is complaining about being disenfranchised. So, what kind of solution can be implemented in such a situation?
Absolutely. It's definitely an important conversation. One approach is to ensure that DEI programs are inclusive and balanced, focusing on equity for all groups. This might include creating safe spaces for open dialogue, acknowledging the challenges that different groups face, and ensuring that no group feels excluded. Another solution is to promote holistic approaches like leadership training that emphasizes empathy and collaboration, and integrating DEI into the core values of an organization rather than treating it as a separate initiative. This can help foster a culture of mutual respect and understanding, ultimately reducing feelings of disenfranchisement. It's definitely a complex issue, but taking a comprehensive and inclusive approach can help break that cycle. Let me know if you'd like to dive into any specifics.
Okay, here we have a problem whereby I feel like ChatGPT is too woke. So I'm gonna ask maybe Grok. Grok probably will have a slightly more moderate to right leaning bias, because obviously ChatGPT did not give me any answer to the question of what if white men are the ones who are being victimized in this situation. So let's hear what Grok will say in such a situation, because to get to the bottom of it, you need to have different views, right? You can't have a left-leaning bias. Grok, let's say that white people feel like they are being disenfranchised by DEI. How can we create a loop counter in the term in terms of them feeling more empowered by DEI measures?
Reframe DEI as diversity, equity, and inclusion for everyone, emphasizing that it benefits all groups by creating fairer systems overall. Point out how stronger diverse teams boost innovation, which lifts white folks' workplaces too. Share stories where DEI policies led to merit-based opportunities everyone accesses, like blind hiring that ignores bias against anyone. Focus on common goals, saying things like, DEI isn't about quotas. It's about leveling the field so talent wins. That way, it feels empowering, not exclusionary.
So what we're seeing here is that we need to reframe DEI and push it to.
Yeah, exactly. Flip the script so DEI sounds like a win for everyone, not just one side. Highlight how it opens doors based on real talent, not favoritism. Makes white people see themselves as part of the solution, thriving in a fairer game.
I don't know. Well, that's what Grok says. Grok is basically this saying the same thing as ChatGPT, and what I think should be done is that let the natural order of things be, because ultimately large systems tend to move slowly. So if you let it move slowly, it will move towards the right direction, because DEI was kind of like a revolutionary thing, and it made things move quick. So if you make things move quick, it becomes a shock to the system, which destabilizes the change and progress that needs to be done. So ultimately, I feel like it was a necessary move that needed to be put in place, because there was already a system that put in place that had been moving slowly and over time. So it was kind of like a shock to the system, to the American public, and in general the Western world. But it needed to be made. But it is now nudged the ship in the right direction, because ultimately you don't want to make a new class of victims. And in this case, it would seem like it would be white people. You want ultimately people to be almost in the same, moving in the same area, but you don't want to leave people behind. So what would be done is that I feel like the pendulum swung a bit too far, and now it's swinging back. And what's going to happen is that if you get a person like Trump who cuts too many, who makes too many cuts to the DEI programs, what will happen is that it will cause it to swing back. And then when it's swinging back, it won't swing too far, because now we have lessons of what not to do when the left-leaning people get power. So they will make moderate changes when they get power. So probably things are going in the right direction. I'm optimistic, but I have an optimistic bias, and it will probably work out. So white people, try not to worry.